Thanks for tuning in to Action Media Reviews. Today I have for you the Valaverse Action Force Steel Brigade figure. So a lot of you remember that Steel Brigade was formerly a G.I. Joe property. A lot of you probably had a mail-away Steel Brigade figure when you were a kid. So Valaverse now owns Steel Brigade and has created a brand new 6-inch action figure complete with 3 additional hands and realistic weapons. Really loving that Maxim 9 there. Anyway, we're going to open this guy up, check him out, and my friend Anthony got an extra one of these that he hooked me up with. This is the Gold Head. Now, the Gold Head was exclusive to the Kickstarter campaign. And he ended up with an extra one and was kind enough to gift this to me for one of my Steel Brigade figures. So I'll have, I don't know how many of these I'm going to keep. Probably, I think I ended up getting 3 of them, maybe 2 or 3 of them. But anyway, I want to display one with the Gold Head and then 2 as army builders for the good guys. But anyway, so far the Sergeant Slaughter figure that we opened, pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it at all. I will say that if you're going to purchase something from the website, purchase multiple items to maximize the value of that $8 flat rate shipping. So, oh yeah, by the way, MOC Masters is going to be making a case, or well, they've actually already made a case. They're up for pre-order right now. A case that will work with Action Force Valaverse figures if you want to protect those in a MOC Masters case. So slice that open. Before we get into that, let's check out the back of the box. Other figures in the line featured on the back of the box. Scan for additional Action Force products. So you scan this, it takes you to the website and shows you all the other products they have. And you also have a cut and save combat profile, a file card on the back of the box. Steel Brigade, code name, various, file name, classified, primary MOS, special forces, secondary skills, 5Q Pathfinder, B4 Sniper, 5W Military, Free Fall Jump Master, 2B Air Assault, birthplace, various, rank, affiliation, various, Action Force. The Steel Brigade is, let me start this over. The Steel Brigade is the code name for the support squadron within Action Force and is comprised of 80 shooters trained as the unit's own QRF or Quick Reaction Force, hailing back to the days in Vietnam of the Mike Force. The Steel Brigade is the only unit of its kind capable of providing an armed support element to the primary assault force during a mission. Each shooter is highly trained in small arms and small team tactics. Like the members of Action Force, the Steel Brigade shooters must also pass their own selection course, as well as mission-specific training in close quarters battle and hostage rescue. They are experts at airborne and assault operations, with many of their numbers being veterans of the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions. No matter the mission, when Action Force gets wheels up, the men and women of the Steel Brigade stand ready to drop on target, defend the force, and destroy their enemies at all costs. So you get 2 action points, which is a throwback to flag points from the GI Joe line from when we were kids. Mail those in and mail in flag points along with UPCs and get special offer figures and such. I thought I just stabbed myself. So I'm going to cut open the bottom of the box. I just sliced the tape here. I'm still in COVID quarantine and am recovering. I do feel better today than what I did the last couple of days. Last couple of days have been kind of rough as far as fatigue and just being totally exhausted. So I've got this guy opened up here. Again, we have that the bottom tray with a tray cover, and there is a piece of plastic covering the figure to keep him from bouncing around and, you know, rubbing paint on different things here. Two really cool pieces included with this figure. One being a brand new Steel Brigade patch. Now, if you had an original G.I. Joe Steel Brigade from back in the 80s and 90s, you had this patch. This patch, not this specific patch, but a patch similar to this one, came with these Steel Brigade figures. And I remember, and this is going to kind of date me, but I remember having a denim vest that I put patches on. It was more of like a battle vest. I was pretty young, but I had a battle vest, and my Steel Brigade patch went on my battle vest. Luckily, I do have a Steel Brigade figure back here on the wall that has the original patch with it that wasn't attached, that was never attached to an article of clothing. But yeah, I had my Steel Brigade patch on my battle vest. And also, another really cool thing about the older Steel Brigade figures, you were that character. That character was one that you created with your name and information. Well, there's a nice heavy cardstock dossier here where you create your own code name, file name, birthplace, primary MOS, secondary skills. You create a background for that character and an assessment. It's recommended that your information be written out on a separate piece of paper. First, to ensure there is enough room when it is written on your official dossier. And if an attempt is made to erase any writing, it may cause damage to your dossier. So, I mean, I'm obviously not going to write on any of this. And you've also got a little square over here for fingerprint. This reminds me a whole lot of a tax stamp for an NFA firearm, considering the fact that I kind of make that connection because I'm in NFA firearms, and the Maxim 9 is an NFA firearm. It's an integrally suppressed 9mm pistol that is available to the public. You can buy this gun, the real version of this gun. You can buy this, but you have to pay a $200 tax stamp and wait for your ATF background check and all that. So this here, I will remove this. I'm not going to display the figure with this intact, so this can actually just be thrown away. And I'm probably not going to flip around and do the first person thing. I'll just show you up here all the pieces that he comes with. So the figure was actually in there fairly loose, but really, I mean, the joints are tight. It's recommended that you heat these guys up with a blow dryer or a heat gun before you start moving joints around and whatnot, because you can break these. Much like any of the modern style 6-inch figures, you know, it's always best to heat them up before you really start moving them around. There's a lot of paint apps on this figure. I think it looks fantastic. I love the Steel Brigade figures in general, the old G.I. Joe Steel Brigade figures, but this is really a nice modern take on the Steel Brigade figure. You have the plate carrier vest along with some pouches, and you have extra magazines. You have extra magazines there. These are removable and go in the rifle that he comes with. And the clenched fist hands, I don't really care a whole lot for the clenched fist hands. I don't really need those, so I'll probably swap them out for the weapon grippable hands, of which you have two, and then you have another hand that's in a support configuration as well. So 3 hands and more other accessories. I am more okay with this figure coming with 3 additional hands and the extra accessories than what I am with Sergeant Slaughter coming with 6. What is it? I'm looking at it right now. 7 additional hands. I just don't really care for 7 additional hands. Now you also have drop leg web gear here as well, fitted to the figure. These will come off. I'm sure you have to heat everything up to get those off, but they are removable. And you have swivels in the ankles as well as a rocker. You also have a calf swivel here. You have the double jointed knee. Something else I'll point out, these figures are using pinless technology. And by pinless technology, a lot of the 6-inch figures that you see from like Hasbro, a lot of the G.I. Joes, Marvel Legends, figures like that, you'll see a hole here with a pin almost that it looks like there's a pin through it. There's not really a pin through it, but it's just the way that it connects. But these pinless joints give a much more seamless appearance to the figure. I really like the seamless joints, or the pinless joints. But you have that double jointed knee, and then you have the thigh swivel. And I'm not going to pop this vest off because I've heard that they're really hard to get back on. But we may do that with another figure. One thing I want to point out about the torso articulation on these figures, I like this torso a lot better than I do some others. Much like the Fwoosh, what are they called? Articulated Icons. The Articulated Icons Feudal series, the ninjas, the way that their torso is articulated, it's not an ab crunch that has that big U-shaped piece in it. It's actually like a ball and socket joint that gives it a more natural movement. A bigger range of motion. If the figure didn't have this vest on, you could see that. I actually have a couple of the Troop Builder figures that you would be able to see that on. I'm going to have to flip around for first-person perspective here on some of the stuff, most likely. I'm going to try to avoid it, but I really want to swap a couple things out on this guy. The hands being the main thing, and the head. So the head actually seems to be not loose, but just not as tight. So I'm going to see if I can pop that off there without breaking anything, and success. I've got that head off. We'll go ahead and see if we can pop this head on this. Let's look at the differences between these two heads. So you have the blue. This is probably something that would be a lot easier to show first person, but it's basically just paint schemes. It's the exact same head, just a different paint scheme. And the gold head is in reference to the 1992 Steel Brigade version 2 that came out, that was a darker blue and had a gold head. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see if we can get this on. Maybe if you spit on it, it'll go in a little easier. There we go. Nice positive pop lock up there. And here we have the gold head installed. This is the head that will live on this figure. And he will display with the gold head. And the gold head is seen more as like a leader type figure. So I was wrong about the hands. There's an additional 3 hands included here for a total of 6 with this figure. And then you have the patch, the figure stand here as well. In this figure stand, the back of it, like if you were to set it down like this, the back of it has a slot where you could stick a file card or a background of sorts. You also have 4 different pegs that are sticking up on this. So 4 different pegs will allow a variation of posability for the figure. Let's see if we can get that in there. Yeah, the plastic's, it's not soft, but it's not like rigid hard plastic either. And it does go on pretty well. Get that back there. But here you have a little better view of that gold helmet. And we can make a comparison of the two here. And you can see where the paint apps on the two heads are different. You have the gold head versus the silver. And you have an additional, you have gray here, whereas you have black here. And you have gray on the face, whereas the gold head is all blacked out. Now you also feature, let's see, here's that Maxim 9 pistol. So the baffles for the integral suppression system are all part of the gun, and they do come off the real one, and can actually add baffles to or take baffles away from that. It's a really cool gun. Look it up if you get a chance, if you're into firearms. And I'm not exactly 100% sure what this is. It's based off of an M4, of course. You have a grenade launcher, and you have ports for blast effects, which I have some blast effects over here. We could check those out. I'll have to find them. But I like the flat dark earth and black. And of course, this magazine here is removable, and the figure has an additional 2 magazines on his plate carrier. One of the smaller blast effects. Let's see how this goes into the end of the pistol here. There we go. And that actually looks pretty cool. It's not a super tight fit, but it's not going to fall out either. And then it'll also go into the end of the rifle here, even though that does not look anywhere near as large as what a muzzle blast would be. And I'm assuming that this is set up as a 5.56 rifle. And of course, you can also put that blast effect in the grenade launcher, which is pretty cool. I dig it. I have seen some reports of these breaking. What we have on here is actually a foldable stock, but it's not actually foldable. All the weapons and everything for Action Force are based on real life weapons. And this gun would not have it looks as though it would not have a typical direct gas impingement system, but be piston driven, so you don't have to have that buffer tube coming off the back with the buffer and spring. All of that's contained within the upper receiver, and which is there are several companies that make firearms like that based on an M4 lower, but that is modeled after a folding mechanism. And no, the stock does not fold. The stock will break if you try to fold it, so do not try to fold that stock. So here we have the holster, which it looks like it's backwards, but I don't believe it is because it's actually shaped to the pistol itself, and everything goes in and appears to fit exactly as it should. Then on his back, we have a sheath for the knife, and that goes in all the way just as it should. It's a good fit. And I don't think there's anything else on here other than these 2 magazine pouches on the front. Nice little detail that's added on here to the armor vest. It's one of these punch knives. I haven't seen one of these depicted in a toy, or actually haven't seen one in real life in a long time, but these punch knives are pretty neat. Just a very up close fighting weapon. So there you have it, folks. The Action Force Steel Brigade figure. If you're a Steel Brigade fan, even if you're not really into like all the 6-inch figures, but if you're a Steel Brigade fan, this is a really cool figure to have, just for the nostalgic purposes of it. Even if you don't collect the rest of the line, Steel Brigade's where it's at, man, for real. That's pretty much it for this figure. I'm not going to swap these hands out right now because I'm out of my studio and I don't have hot water handy to heat this figure up, or a blow dryer out here to heat him up with. So I'm going to put everything back in the box and show you what it looks like displayed in the box with the gold head. So here we are with the Steel Brigade figure, set up with the gold head, and it's the only change that I made. I didn't swap out the hands or anything, but Valaverse Action Force. This figure is going to display great just like it is, especially since I removed that piece of cellophane or piece of plastic on the inside. You get the file card, all that. And it's just an overall great looking figure, and I do enjoy the realistic weapons that Action Force comes with, and the fact that they base a lot of their lore in like a post-apocalyptic world, which I'm a sci-fi nerd. I love sci-fi and like post-apocalyptic type stuff, and that really, I haven't gotten a chance to read through all the comics yet, but I will. The comic books are available on the website, on the Valaverse.com website, but it's based in a world after the United States falls, and it looks like some really interesting reading, especially from everything that I've seen posted about it and whatnot, and I'm looking forward to getting into that. And I like the fact that we have some sort of media, some lore to go with this. Originally, I had kind of cast this line off as something I didn't want to get into, and I think that part of the reason I didn't want to get into it was because there's going to be so much to it, and I hate to pick and choose figures that I'm going to buy from a line, but with Action Force, I'm going to have to pick and choose because there's a couple that I just don't care for. I just don't want them. But most of them are really nice, and I dig them. So, like the Steel Brigade, of course. But there's something in there for everybody. So, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button. Check out the links in the descriptions for where you can buy Action Media Reviews merchandise. You can go meet up on Facebook groups and join collector communities. All right, guys. Action Force. I don't know the battle cry for Action Force yet, but I'll find out.